You are listening to a Dynamicworksproductions podcast. This show is available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio Network, and many, many more podcast services around the world. You can find all our content, music, videos, books, podcasts, and more on our website, www.dynamicworksproductions.com. Have questions, comments, or concerns for us? Head on over to the social tab on www.dynamicworksproductions.com if you'd like to talk to us. Now, on with the show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fork in Your Ear podcast. I'm your host, as always, author, podcaster, gamer, Tim K.A. Trotter, speaking as fast as humanly possible for fear that if I don't, I don't know, there won't be any money.
You're going to mess with my 1.7
streets.
time listening back of this podcast episode, so
Good.
it's going to be like the Micro Machine
It won't be the last 40
Man.
minutes of the previous episode where it'll be like, hey, how's it going? And then, you know, the things are talking and I'm talking over the top.
Yes. Oh. We had that discussion off air. A little bit of mic discipline.
Yeah,
so
that's true. True. I still attest that something happened that far.
I'm not saying you're wrong,
whatever.
but I'm saying in general, the last two that I've edited with the lows and highs have been a little bit of a mic discipline thing. Because again, you know, newer equipment, your older Old Faithful that you are running tonight, old reliable, is a lot more forgiving about things, and as such, you know,
much like an old vehicle.
Yeah, as such, like I heard the dogs barking, I heard everything that I'm used to hearing from that old mic that were all knocked out by the new fancy schmancy technology of that Pro X, was it?
Yeah, it's a Yeti Pro X by Blue, which was acquired by Logitech, and they've wrecked it because they have a beautiful fucking product
and horrible fucking interface. Yeah,
fucking trash software. Sorry, I was just bitching about that before we started recording, folks. Where I'm recording on the old faithful, the old My Little Pony Express mic, as it were. Yeah, I've just had a shit time with technology lately. I will say, though, that as of 2 hours ago, before the mic shit the bed, my Logic was opening and functioning.
Which means you won't be subjected to my horrible editing skills.
Several times. Greg just texted.
Who just heard? What?
Greg just texted.
Oh, okay. Is he going to join us? Okay. Well, he's welcome to pop back in. He's in the call, right? Or in the group. Would make it interesting for editing, I should say. For those of you that are listening in line, the Kickstarter that you probably just listened to and this episode were literally recorded back to back. So the players in the previous episode are still available to drop back in if they wanted to come in and cause chaos.
Indeed. Could happen.
No.
Never know. We've had that happen in the past.
I'm sure.
When we kept people in the chat, because I just never removed it from the chat, and then people just pop in.
Like, why is this running? Oh, you're recording. Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, you want to get to spin in the ring, or?
Oh yeah, I guess so. Sure.
I love that sound.
Do you?
Yeah. I can actually hear it now because, again, the Yeti Pro X there tends to
It cut
cut it out a
Oh,
little bit.
sorry.
Yeah. What did it
We're in
land on?
tech.
Tech?
We're in tech. I feel like there's probably stuff to talk about.
Well, yeah, there was that whole Apple
Uh,
event that just happened.
Oh yeah, yeah, there was.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we didn't talk about that. I sure shit didn't post about it.
No.
Oh, Apple had their Scary Fast event. They announced the M3 line
Yeah,
of their Apple
absurdly
Silicon
fast event at a completely different time than they normally do.
Yeah, they did a Monday night
Mm-hmm.
instead of Tuesday because Tuesday would have been Halloween.
They went up against
Um,
Monday Night Football, which is, yeah, like, I don't know. I guess the Venn diagram
Is it a
from,
weird time? Is
yeah,
like
the
at
Venn
5
diagram of
p.m.
people
too.
watching Apple events and watching Monday Night Football is probably not a lot of overlap.
It was further weird because it wasn't a live one. Like they had recorded it at some point,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So it's like, okay, they didn't have to do it then. They could have dropped it on the weekend or they could have dropped it. Could have dropped it whenever.
Right.
Really. But the long and short of it is um the Apple Silicon iMacs got refreshed to M3. Still the same screen sizes, still that horrible white fucking border around the screen. Sorry, I'm not a fan.
No, I know.
I'm not a fan. It fucking sucks. Like it looks okay on the one that's like supposed to be like the white iMac.
Sure.
Because that's what the old white iMacs looked like
You know,
back in the day.
Apple gonna Apple.
100%.
Right.
Apple is gonna Apple. They did an uncharacteristic move where they announced not just the M3, but also the M3, the M3 Pro, and the M3 Max, which are 3 out of the 4 in their usual now chip family that's becoming standard.
Mm-hmm.
This was actually a big deal, as pointed out by tech analysts such as Gary Explains from Android Authority and Marcus Brownlee, because this means that they're actually ahead of their predicted, like how they've been releasing them.
Sure.
Their predicted schedule of release.
Which again is it's unusual because for the most part Apple sticks to their schedule, which makes me wonder why they accelerated. Is there something on the horizon we don't know that they were trying to get out ahead of, or was it just one of those things like, which would be a very un-Apple move of, we were ready to go with the product, so we're just going to announce it?
Sorry, Greg is still texting me. He's now being like, fuck, I fucked it up. I probably should have worked that out before. I didn't know if I was supposed to leave. I'm worried now. I'm sorry.
Oh, Greg,
And I'm just like,
we're fine.
It's cool, man.
Yeah, he very abruptly gave us, the deuces and hung up the phone call. And apparently is now regretting that decision.
I guess.
Okay. Well, tell him to either get back in here or leave you the fuck alone. Like, bro, I'm doing an episode right now. Either be in it or be gone. We'll talk to you tomorrow. I mean it, Tim. Don't make me text him myself.
I have his number.
I'm sure I could find
him. I'm finishing.
Okay.
You're supposed to vamp.
I am vamping. I'm vamping, and
it's hard. It sounds so attacky.
Yes. I've got a cat meowing at my door because she's like, "Oh, you're done with your episode." No, I'm not. We rolled right into another one. But yeah, no, I'm curious if there's something up, like NVIDIA's or AMD's or Intel's sleeves that we don't know about, that put an onus on Apple to kind of like go, we're getting out ahead of, whatever incoming news, because even to Apple's, defense, like they don't even really seem to care about holiday season. Like they release when they release.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's just they're breaking their cycle because
Yeah.
when they've introduced the new M series, it's fall to summer will be the numbered base model, and then the like your number 7 Coke Jack Daniels there that you're drinking.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you feel any better. This is what I was pouring into my
Yeah, your Cuban mojito.
my, Cuban mojito, and then I have some yesterday's vodka surprise in my thermos over here.
Now, see, I'm gonna make this comment that's gonna make no sense because it's kind of a behind the scenes thing. You leaning over there and grabbing that stuff and still talking, I can hear you again. That Yeti Pro, for all of its blessings and curses, I would have lost you entirely.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It would have been like,
that's probably true.
So I was drinking this, and then I don't know. I think we might have to stick with old reliable. But yeah, so what else did the Apple event bring us?
Well, the M3 brought a couple of innovations as expected, and as is always been the case, it's based off of I forget the number because it doesn't match the iPhone number anymore. The A17 Pro, which is in the iPhone 16 Pro.
Right.
It's based off of the 3 nanometer. So now they have like a ridiculous fucking thing, like 28 hours of battery life or something fucking stupid. And then they also made a key point, and this is different from the M1 and M2 series, of all-day battery life at the power and speeds, whether plugged or unplugged.
Okay.
And this was a big deal that was pointed out by Marcus Brownlee because they definitely would kick down like any laptop.
Right.
And now they don't.
That's actually impressive because usually once the thermals kick in, they scale back for power consumption.
Yeah, and then the other interesting thing was they added more fans back into the MacBook Pros, which is not terribly surprising.
Back to what I just said, so that makes a little more sense because those would usually they'd throttle back for thermals. So if they're adding the fans, probably to facilitate that non-throttling.
Probably, I would have to guess.
Yeah,
considering the base M1 through 3 don't have fans, and now and correct me, this may be inaccurate because I don't have an article in front of me here. I'm going off of what I remember from the event 2 weeks ago, and some teardowns that I saw recently. I believe the Pro has 1 fan. To be clear, the Pro chip in the MacBook Pro.
Right.
And then when you have the Max, which is currently the biggest one and still is the biggest one you can get in the laptop, they've done double fans.
Okay.
And I remember seeing a teardown on that where it was twin fans in a tumbler vacuum chamber with a huge copper heat pipe between the CPU and the fans.
Okay.
So kind of like a fan, CPU, fan, huge copper pipe.
Right, one set to blow, one set to suck.
Probably.
Yeah.
I would imagine if they had 2. Sure.
As opposed to 2 flow paths.
Yeah. I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
I mean, Apple has tended to do more rather than an intake. It's always a exchange it out the ass end kind of method in the past, but I don't know that for sure. And then curiously, they dropped the base MacBook Pro by $400, which was a very un-Apple thing to do.
And from what I hear, is making pretty big waves in the market because, yeah, they tend to not butcher their own SKUs.
I mean, the thing though is, yeah, they don't butcher their own SKUs. The thing about that though, they're still doing that thing where there's a 256 gigabyte model, which would be the cheap, the $400 less model,
Right.
and the drive is not NVMe class, and only once you go to the 512 is it then NVMe classed.
Right.
And it's
Which I always chuckle.
annoying.
I chuckle with the Apple pricing because it's like, yeah, you can get into an Apple for this $400, $500 price point, but if you spend $40 more, there's this upgrade, and it's significant.
I mean,
And then you go, okay, well, I can justify that, and then for $50 more, you can get this one, and the next thing you know, you're in the $750 model.
The thing to me, though, about that is it makes no fucking sense to me in this day and age of 2023 going on 2024 to have a 256 gigabyte drive in a product that has the word Pro on it. I cannot imagine any fucking circumstance, period, where 256 in the Pro classed model is sufficient for fuck all.
Especially when you don't have readily available expansion options.
Yeah, because it's not possible unless you are very good at you have laser and a fancy solder.
Right. Yeah, it's not like back in the days where it's like, oh, we only have a 256 gig NVMe or whatever SSD class, but we have an expansion bay where you can throw a 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte SSD in.
Yeah, I mean, it's this is an odd comparison. It's like the dumb setup for the, I guess I have to call them this now, the PS5 Fats or the original model, where they have, the 856 gigabyte SSD, but only 600 of it is usable.
Right.
But at least it has the full fucking PCIe 4.0 NVMe slot.
The PS5 girthy.
So that you can change it. Okay. Yeah, it just, like, as someone who has an M2 MacBook Air fanless for work, and I constantly have like 300 to 400 gigabytes of stuff on the drive. That's just work. Like nothing fun on there. There might be a little bit of music, but nothing fun. We're talking PDFs and numbers and pages files, and work documents, and it's like 512 gigabytes is still tight.
Right. It's almost if it's you'll get this and you're going to do everything cloud-based.
But see, that doesn't...
And that's, that's not a Mac thing.
It doesn't make any fucking sense because it's been proven since they switched to M2 and they changed their kind of how their SSDs operate in their machines. That when they go below NVMe class, because they were never designed to be lower than NVMe class for their Apple Silicon, you get performance bottlenecks unless you're a web browser, email, maybe you listen to
student.
Music, and that's it. That's fucking it. Yeah, unless you're a student.
Yeah.
And I might add, a student in an accounting class, not a film doc or anything fancy or Photoshop or anything
again, I think that target demographic is your middle school, high school, early college student market, because that's where this kind of aligns price point and usability.
So my wife has a 2019 MacBook Pro.
Mm-hmm.
It's Intel based before they went to Apple Silicon. And she has 256 gigs. And she has like 50 gigs free at all times. I also might add that particular line and the MacBooks with the fabled touch bar, those have been discontinued now. There's now no Mac product that has the touch bar, which a lot of people were cheering for. I actually found it useful when I've used it in the past, but that's because I use Logic. But for pretty much everybody else, yeah, but nobody really liked the touch bar. I get it, but it is now obsolete.
Good riddance.
Yeah,
it was a great idea that nobody developed for.
That is 100% it. Apart from Apple apps,
yep,
nobody gave two fucks about it, except for people who wanted to put Doom on it. Because you can bet your ass there's Doom on it. I've seen.
Oh, there's a whole. I think there's a whole website that's can this run Doom, or a Reddit that can this run Doom.
Sure. Yeah,
and I will say the same thing, like my silly Samsung phones and their sidebars and all the other kitschy stuff that they've made. And it's like great idea and concept. No one's going to spend the extra development hours.
Yeah. Basically the key point of the new M3 line, apart from it being 3 nanometer, again, your power efficiency and boosted speeds, and I think it's something like 20% over each respective model in terms of speed, in comparison to the M2. But the big thing is that it has the brand new graphics architecture from the iPhone Pro Titanium that has the hardware accelerated ray tracing and stuff, which is a curious thing because the Apple Silicon has actually had ray tracing, but I don't know what the fucking difference is on the really, really high end line. They've had ray tracing, but it's like a checkbox has ray tracing versus now they're stating they have hardware accelerated ray tracing. So I'm not really sure. I guess maybe the other one was just a brute force approach for graphic workstations until they could figure that out.
Right.
And so it has made some tech analysts look at it in a different way of like, okay, the Macs are still not a great gaming machine for like the PC market, so to speak, for games. But they have all the features now. And they certainly have the power to do them now. And they've caught up way quicker than anybody could have imagined they would, to the point where there's a game mode on the Mac. And I actually did a little bit of investigating on this because I was curious about it. Because I was doing some streaming the other day and I was having some drop frames for some reason. And so far, for many moons, my OBS has been lovely on my poor little M1 base Mac Mini. Absolute bottom of the barrel of Apple Silicon with its, I think it's got a 7-core GPU or something tiny. But it's been doing really good once you've figured out which settings to use.
Right.
And I was having drop frames and I was like, I wonder if I could force my Mac into game mode to eke a little more performance out of this thing. And as it turns out, game mode is a thing that's implemented in Apple Silicon native games. So basically, it's something a developer would have to turn on.
Gotcha.
And it enables automatically once you launch the game.
It's almost like the for anyone else, the MMX instruction sets on an Intel kind of thing.
For once, I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
The old Pentiums and the Pentium MMXs, and while the MMXs, like if you didn't use the instruction set, they were just regular old Pentiums. But if you use the MMX instruction set, You got a
Okay.
little more Hurspers out of them. And
Okay.
again, it's the same kind of thing. It's like mostly games took advantage of that. But, Photoshop and whatnot, they were just like, yeah, go ahead, have your instruction set. We're building for the base code. So
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, all the M3 stuff, it's out. You can get it in MacBooks, you can get it in MacBook Pros, and you can get it in iMacs.
cool.
A lot of the big Mac fanboys have been like, okay, cool. Where the fuck is my iMac Pro?
Right.
Because I guess people want that still. Because it was a thing once. And kind of seems like they could easily do it again.
Well, and again, we've went round and round on this for many episodes now, and this almost feels like Apple is just kind of inching their way closer to going, are we a legit gaming platform? Is there going to be interest in this? Let's
I'd say, and I said this last episode, so I feel like a broken record. They have made more of a concerted effort this year from across the board
Right.
OS, hardware, and games thing.
Yeah.
Like there's something I'm going to
and
talk
I've
about.
even recognized that.
There's something I'm going to talk about in games, which came as a fucking surprise for me. But yeah, I'll get to that when we get to the game segment. But yeah, no, Apple's doing good stuff. M3's great. Wish I had one. All this leaves out is the M3 Ultra, which, if based on this year's cycle, when we got the M2 Ultra in like spring, and it hit the M2 or the Mac Studio, and then they finally released their Mac Pro. Probably spring for that chip, if they have all three of these chips ready to go right now.
Sure.
But I think what we're also seeing here is maybe them also getting their stuff into lockstep, so that it's, instead of, hey, we're at different quarters hitting the different, whatever the M series number is that year, and then next year we start again to, okay, cool, we're gonna hit them all in a particular time frame and just be done with it.
Cool. I hope so. Like, it would just make sense.
I think it makes sense. Yeah. Anyways, spinning the ring.
Well, hold on. I'm not done shitting on Apple just yet, as I'm wont to do. So my wife being an go ahead.
I feel like you let him edit 2 podcasts, and suddenly he's pulling up his britches. Folks.
You know what? You complain that I don't talk enough sometimes, and I let you ramble on and on and on and on. So
did I complain about it this week though?
No, not this week, because we're still recording.
Oh, I meant when I talked to you on.
So anywho,
anyway,
my wife being an educator, she all of her classroom computers are Macs, and they are what they are, and she does
shit, I imagine.
Actually, surprisingly, they're only 1 generation behind. So yes,
they Apple Silicon.
Yes.
Okay, so they're M1s then.
I believe so. M1s or M2s. Yeah, they're not.
Oh, cool.
Like, they're keeping them updated. What they're not keeping them updated on, apparently, is the Apple TV device that she uses to share her screen with either a projector or something else.
I've seen that a lot, actually. And corporations will buy an Apple TV and they'll use it specifically as a wireless HDMI hookup.
Yeah, which she has done. Apparently, with the latest OS update, it says we no longer support your Apple TV and you can't use it anymore.
They're probably using old ass Apple TVs. I tell you what.
Yeah, but the Apple TV worked the day before. The Apple TV itself no longer works because it can't be updated and it's no longer supported. They actually magic bulleted the thing. They went, we no longer.
Did she have a fucking 3rd gen Apple TV
It
that came out in
doesn't matter. It
2010?
worked the day before. It shouldn't suddenly stop working because Apple says, we no longer support this. It no longer gets updates. You can't update the apps. That's fine. This is like, I've dealt with this with Microsoft shit for the longest time. I can still install Windows 98 on something and it will work. For them to literally magic bullet and say, this device is no longer supported and no longer works is absolute fucking bullshit.
Cool. Here's my Apple rebuttal based on the limited information that you gave. They probably have an Apple TV HD,
Okay.
which doesn't run any kind of fucking any kind of OS as we would come to know it for
Okay.
Apple. Has some fucking Symbian ass fucking thing.
Okay. I will concede all these things.
They retired the AirPlay 1 protocol because hackers had found a way to backport into the channel and take control of your Macs.
Okay.
I don't know when that happened precisely. My understanding is that's AirPlay 2's been around for at least a bit now, and I believe it was backwards compatible for a time. So my counterpoint would be, based on limited information, it's probably an Apple TV HD. Those were garbage anyway. Or an Apple TV HD, garbage anyway. And yeah.
That should not be Apple's call to make with a consumer product. Sorry. I will disagree with you. Go ahead and throw a warning up there that says you may be at risk. You are welcoming the 7th layer of hell. But to just brick the device is bullshit.
I don't think it's a bricking device.
It won't turn on. It says no longer supported. Shut down.
The Apple TV.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, so my wife has my old Apple TV HD. I will turn it on and I will report back. And if it says it just fucking doesn't work, I will agree that that is dog shit.
Yeah.
But even the Intel Apple TV, which is the original one, wouldn't say that. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I have a feeling there may be another piece of technology here that isn't being communicated about.
That may be true.
So that's what I'll say on that.
Spin it.
Okay.
The biggest sigh he's ever sighed.
I feel like I've sighed bigger as of late. Entertainment. So
what you been watching?
Oh, what have I been watching? Well, I've been rewatching all of the Rick and Mortys, the old ones. I'm on to the second last season before I'm re-caught up again. That's been good. Because largely I remember that series very well because I've seen it a lot. But there's like one episode in every season and I'm just like, I don't remember this episode at all.
Okay.
In that, let's see, what have I been watching? Oh, my wife randomly, I forget what it was. I think it was last weekend or something, or no, last week at some point. I came home and it was in the short window where she's like home and she was like eating her breakfast and I just got off work and she was watching Gilmore Girls on Netflix.
Aww.
And I'm a Gilmore Girls fan, I might add. And I was like, oh, cool, you're watching Gilmore Girls. And then for some reason in my mind, I had thought she had already seen Gilmore Girls. And I started to say something and she's like, don't say anything, spoilers. And I'm like, have you
not seen this before?
Not seen this. And she was like, no, I thought it was like a girly girl show. And I would like I like rebelled against that shit as a kid, and I was
Like,
I mean, I guess it's a little girly, but it's not really.
right.
I mean, it's a show, you know.
It's right in line with the the 90210s and some of the WB, like,
I mean, it was a WB show,
right, but like
so
in that same ilk where it's like
Mhm.
it doesn't necessarily have to be girly girl. It does appeal to
like that pre CW channel.
right.
I don't even know what you want to call it. Like little better than a soap, but not as good as a drama. But like
Right.
whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, now basically CW you have, what comic adaptations and girly romance shows.
Not for long.
Right.
Their last
Well, yeah. But that's
I might
they
as
kind
well
of
say on that the last Arrowverse show, as it were. What's it called? Superman and Lois? No, that's the one in the 90s with Terry Hatchett.
Lois and Clark.
That's Lois and Clark. Maybe
Yeah.
it is called Superman and Lois. The
Yeah.
current one. Is that the current one? Yeah.
It might be.
Anyway, it got officially renewed for a fourth and final season, which will be its final season, and was stated by WB that it will be the last of the Arrowverse stuff that started
Womp
in
womp. That sucks.
universe. It does, and they're moving on all the way with all the James Gunn shit. So we'll see.
But yeah, Gilmore Girls.
Yeah,
Gilmore Girls is a solid show. What I find amusing is that you enjoy that show, but you rag on me for listening to podcasts at 1.7 speed. Anyone that's ever watched Gilmore Girls can attest to, they talk so damn fast.
Yeah, it's the what's that writer? West Wing, Studio 60, Newsroom. What's that fucking guy?
I don't know.
Wrote The Social Network. Aaron Sorkin.
Okay.
Is the infamous for the talk and walk and deliver a whole novel's worth of dialogue while they're moving through something.
Sure.
Gilmore Girls for fucking sure does that as well.
Oh yeah, and quite adeptly. Like,
oh yeah,
have subtitles on.
Oh. Though I must say, we watched an episode today before she took off for work, and they made some. Keep in mind, folks, this is not a political
an old
thing.
show. Yeah,
I'm just saying we're talking about it because it's an old show, and they made a joke about the Palestinians and stuff. And something, and me and my wife looked at each other and were like, well, that's now appropriate again.
right. Everything old is new again. Yeah.
Yeah, because this show is like 99, 2000, something like
that.
Though I must say, whoever the fuck did the digital transfer must suck at their job. Because from time to time, I'm like, is it raining on the set in their fucking show? What am I seeing? These weird blue lines that streak through the fucking film from time to time. But no, I think it's just a fucking terrible reel transfer.
Yeah, just some artifacting of some sort.
Yeah,
sure.
Lint on the fucking thing. Yeah. But anyway, wife's watching Gilmore Girls, so we've been doing a bunch of that. Which is fine because it's nice, lovely, generally fun, upbeat show. Invincible is back for its season 2 after its long 2-year hiatus, something like that, which it now won't repeat because they now have season 2 and most of season 3 in the bag, and they plan to do it yearly until they're done. Since it was a huge surprise hit for Amazon, they weren't expecting that, and animation takes time, folks.
Yeah, but they'll let shows like Peripheral die on the vine.
Because it's animation and it takes time, Nate, and a voice actor is easier to get than
I'm still butthurt. I'm sorry.
I'm butthurt too, man. I'm like, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Invincible's back for season 2. It's funny. I haven't rewatched season 1 in a while, so I was a little bit foggy on some of the stuff. And I totally forgot Invincible is a maybe the only like cartoon show that's like American animated that's an hour. I was so thrown off by the episode being an hour long. I was like, oh yeah, I
Sure.
guess they were all an hour.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. But no, it's good. The animation's top notch. The voice acting's top notch. Everything about the show is just top notch. Very, very good. Did that. I'm trying to think. Did I watch anything else? We added the Five Nights to Freddy's to our queue.
I did see it. I'm actually meant to talk about it last week. Last episode.
I remember you'd mentioned that and that didn't come up. Haven't seen it yet, but it was added to our queue. Don't know when we'll get to it. What we did watch, we watched did I talk about this already? I'm trying to remember when our last podcast came out. Did a podcast come out?
Not a mind reader.
I know.
Did you talk about what already?
Amazon movie or what's it called? I can't fucking think of the name. I'm gonna fucking look it up.
You can look up your history there.
No, I know the lead actress. Terrible vamping. You should vamp more. That's directed at you, Nate. Fucking great. Watching me suffer. Fucking terrible.
That's half the fun of it,
though. Totally Killer is
okay.
what I watched.
I've heard about it.
To me by Greg Smith, actually.
Yeah.
It's an Amazon Prime movie. It stars Kierna Shipka, who's the daughter in Mad Men, and she was in Avatar, and she was the most recent Sabrina on Netflix. The gist of the movie is there's like a killer in the 80s, and he killed people at their Sweet 16 birthday party, and he killed like a bunch of them, like all in a row. And then the movie fast forwards to present day, and one of the survivors is the mom of the main character, and like all overprotective and stuff, and then her daughter goes out to some Halloween party or something, and the killer comes back, kills the mom. This is all in the first 10 minutes, so this isn't a spoiler. And then because reasons,
daughter happens to be 16.
Daughter, yes, and falls backwards in time to the 80s. And then tries to prevent the killings so that her mom survives in the present. But it's funny, and she's really bad at stopping the killing.
Okay.
So instead of it being like, yeah, it's like really good, she'll be like in the 80s, like drinking from like a red Solo cup, and there's like murdering happening, and she's like, oh fuck, that's happening now, and they're like,
shit, I was supposed to stop that.
Yeah, she's really bad at it. It's fucking great. And then there's like a bunch of interesting time humor, because she's like a teenage girl in the present, and she's in the 80s. And so she's like, okay, well, I know the names of my mom's friends that all got murdered. Okay, I need to find this name. She's like, oh man, they're never going to believe me. There's probably like going to be like so much security, and I'll make up a story that I'm from like Nova Scotia, and I'm an exchange from Canada. And she does this whole rigmarole.
But it's the 80s.
Yeah, it was the 80s. And like, oh yeah, they're down the hall and stuff. And she's like, you don't need like proof? And like the the lady friend just like looks at her like, who the fuck are you? I don't care.
Right.
And so there's a lot of jokes of like, man, everything was really unsafe in the 80s and just like all kinds of stuff like that,
Right.
you know. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. Very fun slasher with a totally dumb time travel thing to it. But
Sure.
it was good. It's very enjoyable. I laughed. Good like who the actual killer is really twisty. Yeah, really good. Do recommend. It's on Amazon Prime. It's one of their produced ones, so it's gonna be always there. I think that's
Speaking of time travel-y, timey-wimey, wobbly,
yeah,
whatever.
a show that I can't talk about.
What, Loki?
Yeah,
Why can't you talk about it?
I ain't seen it, Nate.
Why not?
We had this say because I don't fucking have Disney Plus. I fucking
Get Disney
told you this
Plus, you son of a
in the
bitch.
last fucking podcast.
I know, and you were supposed to fucking get Disney Plus by then. Watch the fucking episodes. It concluded all the 6-episode run, which
Uh-huh.
But again,
Cool.
you're not gonna allow me to talk about Loki. You're not gonna let me talk about Five
you
Nights
don't
at
get to
Freddy's. You son of a.
You don't get to. I don't care so much about Five Nights at Freddy's, but
Okay. Well,
I
don't believe the
you
critics.
don't
It's a
you
fun.
don't get to
It's a
spoil Marvel from me because believe me, I've
Yeah.
got a fucking topic
Okay.
on that coming up.
Fine, asshole. But yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's was again, because I didn't follow the video game lore. I actually enjoyed it. Apparently, people that follow the video game are like, "This is bullshit."
Cool. I never played the games. I'll have a good
Right.
time then.
You'll have a really good time, and it's
Sweet.
like I was shocked at how non-horrific it was.
Because it's a PG-13 horror movie, right?
Yeah, it really is. And
Yeah.
it feels like it. It almost feels like a PG horror movie.
Okay. Fair enough.
So, okay. Since you won't let me talk about anything, spin the goddamn ring.
I didn't say I was done.
Oh, you're not done?
So
Okay.
I'm gonna get to talk about this on multiple topics tonight, but we'll start with holy fuck. Am I sick of the Marvel spoilers? I've had the whole goddamn end of the Marvel's movie that just came out fucking yesterday spoiled, and the 2 end credit scenes spoiled for me. Thanks a fucking lot, internet.
It's funny, I haven't had any of it spoiled.
Fucking garbage. I'm just so fucking sick of websites like even IGN. IGN is a culpable in this. Fucking people on Reddit and goddamn thumbnails on YouTube with fucking screenshots from somebody's phone in a fucking movie theater, the fucking screen, being like, "Oh, this is what this means," and I'm like,
Okay.
And it'd be one thing if like,
But it gets the clicks, Tim.
it'd be one thing if like, I didn't have my vast knowledge of Marvel and Marvel movies, but a picture alone
Right, could spoil something for
is
you.
enough for me to go, fuck.
Right.
I know what all those things mean.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it.
But again, it is Marvel, so you never know. Like, okay, I see the character, and they could completely spin it in a completely different direction.
I mean, maybe, sure. I lack context in which
Right.
some of these things occur, but it's still annoying as fuck.
I
But
agree.
yes, now let's spin the fucking.
Oh, hold on. The one last thing that we didn't talk about in entertainment that is actually very important.
Oh, yeah, the SAG after strike stuff. Duh. No, you right. Oh, and actually, the Zelda thing.
Whatever.
It needs to be talked about. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I'd wait till something more substantial comes out on that myself. But if you want to, go ahead.
I will talk about it because Miyamoto talked about it.
Okay.
Anyway, SAG after strike's done. People are going
Yep.
back to work right after Thanksgiving. Yay!
Yay. Assuming that because there was the Writers Guild that was also on
Yep.
strike. They settled, right?
Yeah, like a month ago.
Okay, so yeah, that was it. So all the solidarity between them is now quashed and squashed, and everyone is apparently happy.
Well, at least with SAG for the next 3 years.
Yeah,
To be
I've
clear, they
seen
signed a temporary deal.
all union
which
deals are temporary.
is- Okay.
It's just a matter of like it, and in the case of my company, if we get a bad deal, it's a 2 to 3 year deal. If we get a good deal, it's a 4 to 5 year deal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Yeah.
just how that works. But yeah, people can start getting back to work. I can start getting my shows back because I'm a selfish, dirty asshole, and I don't care about that. No, I do care about the actors, the actresses, everyone
you can get your
involved.
shows back in a year
Right.
or more, probably.
Yeah. But apparently that has actually made ripples in the VO world.
Yeah, they voted to unionize, as well as Disney's special effects union
Mm-hmm.
has voted, or special effects group company.
Yep.
Employees have voted to unionize.
Yeah, the VO world is going to affect video gaming specifically.
Oh yes.
So.
Oh yes.
More on that. More details on that as it develops.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. What in the actual ass? So this just came out of the fucking blue. A couple of days ago. In an official Nintendo investors post. From legendary designer Shigeru Miyamoto and Nintendo, that they are officially making a live action Legend of Zelda film. And if that wasn't enough to make your head spin, it is being co-produced by Sony, their mortal enemies.
Mm-hmm.
And then to make your head spin even more, to be produced by Avi Rad, who y'all may know him from his vast amount of Marvel movies he's produced.
Mm-hmm.
It's not exactly a good. I'd say he's 50-50. The good ones would be he produced the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. He produced the first several X-Men films with Bryan Singer. And he produced one good Blade film. The counterpoint to that is he also produced all the bad X-Men films, and he produced the bad Blade films. And, there's shit like Venom and Morbius and the forthcoming Kraven the Hunter. So I wouldn't exactly say he's a great producer. I would say he certainly does love popular franchises. That's what I'll say. He definitely, that's what he fucking produces. That's what he fucking makes. That's what he goes after.
Oh, low-hanging fruit? Sure.
Does he get them right? 50% of the time, it would seem. So it's a really curious. It's a curious.
Have they gotten any casting nailed down?
No, but the director is nailed down.
Okay.
The director, which is actually not terrible in my opinion, but that's maybe a little bit of a controversial thing for me to say. The director is Wes Ball, who directed the Maze Runner trilogy of movies.
Sure. Yeah.
I liked those movies a lot, actually. I don't know how in the ass fuck that translates from a sci-fi YA novel trilogy to one of the most popular video game franchises in the fucking world. And one that, if it's live action, is going to be, all fantasy and I don't know. And then
Lord
the thing
of the
that's further confusing to me, is if they just nailed pay dirt money with animated Mario with Illumination, why
Why are we doing live?
Why would you do a live action
Right.
for Legend of Zelda? Something that
Has never even been close to live.
arguably the fans are not going to be as forgiving
Right.
as the Mario movie if people didn't like it or whatever. Like, whoever they cast, wherever they shoot, whatever the story is, let alone the fact that, okay, so you're telling me that the first time the legendary hero of time and player character Link speaks ever, apart from
Right. Right. Yeah.
is gonna be from
Yeah.
whomever the fuck they cast.
And
I don't know about
I've been
that,
seeing
son.
mock-ups and whatnot of
Oh, me
a
too.
potential
Me too.
and every time I see Tom Holland as Link, I go, yeah, that works.
I agree that Tom Holland works as Link. I've seen stuff, people mock-ups as oh god, what's her name? The actress who played movie Harry Potter Hermione Granger
Yeah.
as Zelda, and I've also seen the lead chick in the Apple TV Plus show Servant, Tiger something, whatever her name is. She's like Danish or something. But she
Right.
does look like Zelda. Like, I saw some
I've
mock-ups
also
of her, and I
seen
was like,
what's her name from Peripheral mocked up as well. Right. So again, I've seen the mock-ups.
But again, and then also,
Yeah.
so you're gonna have Ganondorf. So you're gonna have somebody in fucking Star Trek green makeup as Ganondorf, whomever they
Right.
cast. What?
Are you going to do Jack Black again? Because he did a pretty damn good Bowser.
I mean, he did, but I don't need Jack Black because like that's the thing. They took like a funny tone with this, and I feel like they're gonna do like a serious fantasy film with a Zelda film. And then that's the other thing too.
Right.
Like, Mario has like one established canon, whereas Zelda resets almost every single fucking game. So it's like, do you do your own story with familiar elements?
Which
Or
could.
do you
Yeah.
adapt one of them? My money would be, I think it's smarter to not adapt any of the games than just make something that feels like Zelda and it's its own
Right.
thing.
And and pay your little homages for, fan service.
But I also feel like at some fucking board meeting with Avi Rad at Sony, it's like, people liked Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild. Do that.
Right.
Like, I feel like that's... Oh, man, I don't fucking know. And it also comes on the heels that Nintendo confirmed that at one point in time, there was going to be a series on Netflix for Zelda, but they specifically canceled it because it leaked, which is the most Nintendo thing I've ever heard of. Be like, oh, people wanted that? Nope. Not anymore. Oh, Christ. So I don't fucking know. The only thing I can say is I hope they get the same combo of composers as they did for Mario, which was Brian Tyler and their own legendary, oh god, I'm forgetting his fucking name, Koji Kondo. Because they did the score together for Mario, and he was the fucking dude who wrote the fucking shit for Mario and Zelda and fucking 10 other Nintendo franchises. So I hope they get that duo back. Because that would be good. And at least that would be good. Because we don't know how... I don't know. I have so much concerns about that. Because, like, I feel like if they had done the Illumination animation route, like, at the very least it would look like one of the Zeldas that we're familiar
Sure.
with. And this is like, oh man, that's a lot. I feel like that's a lot of pressure. And also
Yeah, and
because
at
it's
least if you do
never been done.
and at least if you do animated, like finding the setting for Hyrule would be a lot easier than, oh, we're going back to New Zealand,
Probably
right?
would be my guess.
Or are we just going to do mass green screen like everything else is doing?
I mean, probably that as well.
So, yeah.
I mean, at the very least, I feel like they can't fuck up the costume and like the sword, since like those are things people have been cosplaying for fucking 30 years.
I mean, sure they could. They could
And-
overdo it.
And the characters are humanoid, so it's not
Right.
like
Yes.
it's
Pointy,
gonna-
pointy ears. We've done that.
We've
done
Star
that
Trek's
since the
nailed it.
60s.
We
Yeah.
got this. Green tunic with fucking okay, we got this. A sword.
Right.
A
But just don't
shield?
turn it
We got
into
these.
don't turn it into a lightsaber or whatever that what the sword was in Lord of the Rings. Don't make it like don't overdo it. That's all they could do is like overdo it. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm very nervous about it.
And if someone doesn't say to Link, "It's dangerous out there, take this," I would be disappointed.
Oh, I agree that has to be in there for sure.
Right? That's the minimal fan service I need.
Well, and part of me, and then again, the complicated thing is like, and part of me is like, man, I really hope there's a fairy that says, "Hey, listen." But the thing is, that's only in the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Sure.
Like, there's
But
no
it's
fairy
iconic.
that says that in the other things.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
then
listen.
the other thing is like, unlike that they could make fun of in the Illumination Mario, where he like jumps up and hits the block and fucking coins come out of it. That's like, oh, that's just how the world works. It's like, if we have a fucking live action Tom Holland cutting grass and the grass turns into a fucking gem,
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. It could go so wrong in so many different ways.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. That's actually the same one.
Fire and air.
It's video games.
Video games.
Well, what you been playing, Nate?
Well, I've been playing this little mobile game called what is it? The Tower Idle Defense.
Yeah.
I like it. It's grindy.
Me too. I like it a lot. I
I'm
started
already-
it this morning.
Yeah, I'm already at the level 20 achievement.
Yeah,
So-
me too. Good luck after that.
Oh yeah. I hit it this afternoon. I'm like, okay, cool. I kind of have a methodology
See,
of how I'm doing things.
yeah. So to be clear, folks, what we're talking about is a game that is just fucking called The Tower, and it is billed as an idle tower defense game.
And it is.
Yeah, which is fantastic. And it has graphics in the style of Geometry Wars, which is also fantastic. And also, I might add, the music is dope as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really good music. I was like, God damn. Really good. Really good. Yeah, I don't have...
Yeah, simple premise. The first time I was like, oh, okay. So I set my things and I let it run until I die. And I'm like, no, you actually have to actively upgrade things.
Well, but here's the thing. You can do both. I don't know if you're that far or not.
Right.
Well, and then the thing for me that also kind of throws me is like, yes, you can start it and let it be idle. But even if you have the same amount of like stuff, like your result might not be the same every time. I feel
Right,
like
depending on how they
the
throw things
waves
at
are
you.
very
Yeah.
random.
Yeah.
Apart from that bosses come on the 10th wave.
Right.
Like, Yeah.
Yeah, the first time I got past the first level 10 boss, I was like, "Oh, okay, not bad." And then I never made it past the first level 10 boss again for a while until I was like, "Oh, okay, gotta work the upgrade paths." And
Well, and not only that, like sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's harder. Like the waves are
right.
very random. I think the only thing that's
Yes.
not random about the wave part is the quantity and the
Right.
quality.
No, I would
Maybe the
disagree because
quality of the
there's
enemies are
been
different.
yeah, I've gotten a few rounds where I've gotten a lot more fasts
Hmm.
than I've gotten basics.
Yeah. But
So,
it's very good. It's free to play. It's on iOS and Android, and it is
mhm.
very kind with the no horse shit fucking pop up free to play stuff.
Right. They definitely incentivize things like doubling your rewards
Mhm,
through advertisements,
mhm.
and even those aren't. They're a little brutal. They're more of the 60-second ads than the 30-second ads.
Yeah.
Um, but not bad. And then a $10 payout eliminates that entirely.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I'm sorry I upset you by sending you the screenshot of my foldable phone where I was able to open two apps at once, playing both the tower and Exominer at the same time. It's a good way to play both, by the way,
I totally believe it. And they kind of complement each other because they're both kind of neon-y.
right? And they both have their just like idle. Okay, I'm waiting for this wave to end.
So what's
Punch a button.
so what's interesting, I haven't checked it out yet, but I did go to the developers page and they have a planet mining game. I downloaded it. I'm gonna check it out.
Okay, get a head start on me.
Oh, fuck off.
Where are you at in Exominer, by the way? What level are you at?
I made 2 ranks today. Let me see here. Exominer.
Exominer opening.
I'm at
I think when I sent it to you earlier, I was at
oh,
136.
fucking gross. I'm 34.
I'm at 138.
Gross. Yeah,
So how's it gross?
because you're so fucking far ahead of me.
Well, I'm sorry.
And
I
I
had like.
don't know how. I don't think I'm bad at it. Like I don't think I'm just like, oh, let me make a bazillion fuses.
I think I just dedicate a little more time to it, and I've got that whatever the upgrade pass. I've kind of got them down to what I need to.
Yeah, I do admit I do look at some of the things like, all right, what's the little silver looking cylinder? Which one is that? Is that 10 or is that
Right, that's
Kurosite?
10. Yeah,
Yeah, I get
yeah. The
confused
white
on
one's
those.
Kurosite. Yeah.
Yeah, well, speaking of mobile games, this one's not out yet, but took the world, well, at least the very least the community by storm. There is a Sonic game coming out next month, exclusive to Apple Arcade, and it's like a big full Sonic game that, and this is going to be blasphemy, but this is literally what the developer said. It's a 3D open world Sonic game in the style of Super Mario Sunshine.
What?
And I'm like,
All right, I'm watching the
what the fuck?
trailer now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of see what they're talking
Uh-huh.
about, but it definitely looks like it moves a lot faster than Super Mario Sunshine.
Of course it would. I mean, it's a Sonic game if it didn't. But the point is
Right.
it's a platformer. And like,
Sure.
yes, Sonic is quotes a platformer. But this is like a collectathon platformer.
Right.
And it's interesting because it is developed by Sega Hardlight, which is a team that has exclusively done Sonic mobile games for like a fucking decade. All like
Right.
the Sonic mobile runners, they did a Sonic Racer, they did Sonic side-scrolling thing, all the mobile-y things. These guys have done it. I think they're a little team out of Australia, actually.
And I'm assuming that this is exclusively Apple Arcade?
Yeah, and people are really extra pissed about it because it's probably not coming to anywhere else because, as I've learned from my
Apple.
Sonic sources, because nobody else is talking about this, but Sonic fans, we get to the bottom of shit.
Yeah.
It's co-developed, and I've never heard this before, by Apple.
Okay.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And so I guess when you boot up the game, some Sonic fans have played it. It's Sega Hardlight, and then Apple development team, whatever
Yeah.
that means. And I was like, what? And so the people who have played it are like, they're like, fuck, it's really good. And we feel bad for anybody who doesn't have an Apple device that's a Sonic fan.
Oh, it's a good thing I have an Apple device.
Yeah. Well, for me, for sure, as a Sonic fan. Especially because I missed out on my Sonic game, Sonic Superstars, which came out last month, and I haven't been able to purchase that due to money issues. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's like December 5th or something. And I think it's interesting because, again, the Sonic mobile games made by Sonic or Sega Hardlight, like, they're good mobile games, but they are mobile games, and this looks like a, hey, here's a budget this time. Go wild, guys. You know, and they get to put like all of their ideas into a game that's not, you know, designed to be a mobile game, designed to soak you of your money. You know,
Right.
Because Apple Arcade doesn't have microtransactions, and you can play other games offline and all this stuff, which are all really great things in this day and age. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I'm gonna play the shit out of it for sure. I did the little thingy so that it, because Apple Arcade they'll notify you and they'll like preload the game and stuff, like
Right. It's almost like a wish listing on Steam.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit like that,
Right.
yeah,
Same concept.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it because I don't have money and it's a 3D Sonic game. And truthfully, the Mario games I do like are the 3D Mario games. So,
Right.
man, give me that with Sonic. Fuck yeah. I'm fucking excited.
And then we have Coffee Golf Pro Tour.
Okay, you want to talk about that one? Go for it.
Sure, why not? I seem to be the only one left playing in the Discord that is, actually posting their scores.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, the little indie that could, Coffee Golf, is actually expanding and having a, for lack of a better term, PvP element being thrown in, and a graphical overhaul, which that I'm looking forward to more than anything else. But yeah, the PvP aspect of it is like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. I can, challenge you head to head and who can get the better score on a set of holes, which we all know is me.
Hang on. I want to point out something. The way Coffee Golf works, especially if you pay for the thing, is you can retry that shit as many times as you want to get that fucking lofty perfect score that you fucking post. I feel like in a head-to-head direct competition, I might be able to soak you. Thank you very
I don't
much.
think so.
We'll fucking find out.
Because more often than not, the scores you see me post are first or second try.
Will we be able to cross-play competition?
I don't know.
That'll be a good question.
And if not, just to school you, I will load it on my Apple work phone.
Okay, bring it.
Bring it, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, don't hope it doesn't crossplay because I'll be playing Exominer on one side and then Coffee Golf schooling you on the other.
How many apps can you run simultaneously in Windows?
Oh, side by side, just two.
Just two?
Just two.
Just taking advantage of the foldy parts?
No, this was even before. Like, this was always a Samsung thing where you could side by side them. It was just, again, you start running out of screen real estate because I can do left to right or top to bottom
Hmm. Okay, fair enough.
or pop up mode or whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
So
So what have you been playing, Nate? Besides
I
the little
haven't been
mobile games?
playing a whole hell of a lot. Well,
Nothing.
I've been trying to play things because a lot of the games that I wish listed that I've been waiting for on Game Pass are finally coming through. Like City Skylines 2. I've been greatly anticipating this game.
You're gonna talk about my ex-lover Game Pass on the podcast like this?
Yes, I am. Well, it is not my fault. Okay. I
No, it's
also
not.
talk about wine that you can't drink. Right.
Next, you're gonna talk about pierogies, aren't you?
I would love to talk about
Oh,
pierogies.
fuck.
But anywho, a lot of the games that I've been wanting to play coming out on Game Pass they've come out in such broken form. Like I said, what, 2
Oh, really?
episodes ago, Forza
Oh, yeah, you
was
said
just
Forza missed the mark this year.
just broken. Like, I had to lower it to under 1080p settings just to make it playable,
Yikes.
right? I put City Skylines on and I was like, cool, it's City Skylines. Apparently, if I install the game on my Platter hard drive, it breaks down badly. I had to load it on my NVMe to make it playable.
Oh.
And it's like, this is just like, what the is going on with game development where it's just like, oh, well, if you don't have, like, I look at the
It's
minimum
make the
system requirements,
deadline,
it says,
patch it,
great.
and it'll be good in 3 months.
And a patch came out again today, which I'm wondering if that fixes things. Because again, it's City Skylines. This isn't a high-paced, first-person shooter or like Forza where you're rendering textures and shit on the fly. It's City Skylines. It's basically SimCity.
Yeah, for sure.
Why I need to run this off an NVMe, it's just beyond me.
Sure.
Right. And again, I lowered everything down. I loaded it on my NVMe, and it's like, it plays great. I'm enjoying it. I like that they have a kind of free roam mode. Like, you can't get any achievements, but you have unlimited money and all the upgrades are unlocked, and you can just build a fucking city.
Okay. Cool.
Right.
That's
You know,
nice.
I've actually recommended that game to my wife because she actually wanted to start teaching her students civil engineering.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And she's like, is there a game you would recommend that would actually teach them, infrastructure and everything? And I'm like,
dude, I have a game recommendation.
okay.
Mini motorways.
Mini motorways.
Yeah. I talked about it before. I think I played it last.
Is it mobile or is it actual platform?
It's a mobile game, but it is entirely so it's a puzzle thing based entirely around managing infrastructure for roadways, managing traffic. Has cute, simple graphics, but will also eat your soul.
Yeah, let's not do that. I don't want to be accused of peddling addictions to my wife's. But yeah, so I recommended like City Skylines. I recommended, old SimCity 2000. I'm like,
old SimCity.
that's
what it's
good old
there for.
SimCity will do it, but like Skylines even gets into sewage and water and piping, and like it gets into it. Well, I'm like, have them play that.
Is there like a new or like a current SimCity? Or is it just Sims from Maxis?
It's just Sims now. I think they put out one recently, and it was just, it turned into like SimCity City Builder, and it was like it was a mobile money grab.
Yeah, no, I've seen mobile SimCity stuff for sure.
Yeah,
I didn't touch it because it was SimCity.
Right.
And that's not to say that I hate SimCity. I'm just used to like the old one, like the SimCity 2000, and then everything goes, and then then the robot comes and nukes your fucking city.
Right. Yeah. If you're not getting attacked by a kaiju, you're not building your city right.
Tsunami.
Yeah.
Earthquake.
Or tsunami. And I remember playing the original SimCity on the original NES.
Mm. I mean,
And I remember
that's a version
one
of
of
it,
the
I might add.
yeah, it's a version of it. And let me tell you, playing SimCity with a D-pad
Yikes.
and 2 buttons
In
is garbage.
1980, whatever.
Right. And I remember one of the big achievements was you could put a Mario statue in the center of your
That
city.
sounds about right. I
Right.
can't believe that game existed for that system, given how fucking limited the NES is.
Well, and what pissed me off the most about that is it wasn't like, oh, hey, like the Zelda cartridge that has the battery backup in it. You'd think SimCity would have the battery backup in it. Nope.
The answer is no, because to have the battery backup cartridge, it cost like an extra $30 or something fucking.
Yes.
And
But
only
this is
Nintendo was willing to fit that
But this
build
is
for their
Sim
own
fucking
shit.
City. Like, I had that NES on for a week, and it was like, I came home one day and it was like, why is the light switch not working? Oh, fuck, the power went out.
Bruh.
Guess we're starting over.
I've been there though. I've been there. Fucking Final Fantasy 7, I think it is, which is on PlayStation, which has saves, I might add.
Mm-hmm.
But like sometimes the battles or save points between battles were so fucking far apart, and you'd be like, okay, I
Right.
need to like go to sleep because I got like school or something. I'll just leave the disc running.
Right. I'll sit in this inn and I will leave the disc running.
100%. I did that on that. I did that on. I did it on some game on the Sega Dreamcast. It was probably Shamu, I think.
Sure.
These are not good things to do to your game consoles, kids. I don't recommend it. But you know, yeah. So that's all. That's all you've been playing.
Yeah. Again, like I tried playing Forza and it failed badly. I've been playing Cities and it's failing badly. So I've been just going back to my, idle phone games.
Cool. Well,
So.
we'll get to my big two games and then move on. So obviously, last podcast I talked about how I entered Marvel Spider-Man 2 on PS5, and I'm now 30 some odd hours into that guy. I have much different opinions on it than my initial skepticism of coming from the other games, and they changed a bunch of shit, and there's some controls that are different, and blah 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 blah. I think in large the combat is better than Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales. The gadgets that are definitely different from the first games are still different, but they are very useful. The upgrades are very nice, and at this point I've done a lot of the side content stuff, and I gotta say the side quests in this game, and I don't know what occurred. I've seen this. It's happened in big video games that are open world since Sony's actually Ghost of Tsushima, where the side quests are not shitty. It's a side quest, and you're doing it to get some kind of upgrade thing. I saw a huge change in the industry with open world games, at least big budget open world games, where the side quests from Ghost of Tsushima were so entertaining and enthralling and had twists in them and stuff. And they continue that in Spider-Man 2, which I can't say the same for the first games. The side quests, they were what they were. You did them.
Right.
But the same thing could also be said of Tears of the Kingdom. Their side quests way better than the side quests in the first Breath of the Wild. But yeah, no, the side quests, I'll just talk a little bit about them, not to do super spoilers or anything, but this will be light spoilers. So if you don't want to know anything about them, I suggest you skip forward. Um, there's one where you're helping a homeless man to relive uh, some of his glory days around New York when he wasn't homeless and he had like a boat and a wife and stuff like that. And it's like really thoughtful and kind of sad and introspective and stuff. And it's just like, man, this is
Right.
dang.
It's got some depth to
Yeah.
it beyond, go find my kitten.
Well, and speaking of that, or at least go finding a thing, there's one where you go help this woman find her grandpa who's in the first stages of like Alzheimer's, and he's gotten himself lost in Central Park. And
Right.
it's really interesting and fascinating and stuff. You're like, oh wow, this is not what I expected in Spider-Man. On that same token, one of the best ones I played, which I was very surprised by, this is definitely a spoiler, where you do this side quest with this woman who's deaf, but you end up playing as her for a brief bit, which is interesting. But then it's deaf, so like all the sound goes out and everything
Right.
is through the vibrations of the controller, and I'm just like, oh man,
Okay.
okay,
That's clever.
that is really smart. That is really smart. And so it's just really interesting because you're like, well, yeah, I guess it would be like that. Like she can't hear. Like, of course, it would be about feeling things and looking and the other senses.
Right.
I just thought it was neat that they just like it just straight up like bloop, no sound. Very good stuff. I did some of the big story arc side quest stuff, which I guess isn't really like a side quest, more like a side story, I guess. Those were pretty goddamn fantastic. Slight spoiler, did one with Mysterio, who's in the game, and the only way I can describe it is actually by comparing it to actually the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. Like there was some sequences where I was going through some Mysterio illusions that were like the Mysterio illusions in Far From Home, and also some building madness that looked straight out of fucking Doctor Strange. It was bonkers. On that same token, though, I have noticed the game coming apart at the seams sometimes.
Okay.
For example, in the building madness Doctor Strange Mysterio thing, I was like swinging through, and there's these buildings, and you're upside down, and they're coming out of the water. And I like swung into a building, and then I went into the geometry, and then I was stuck inside the reverse side of the geometry of a building, and I couldn't fucking get out because you can't clip through like the corner because it's fucking a Spider-Man game. So your default when you push is to go stick to the thing and start crawling along. I'm like, no, I need to get out of the building, and I
Right. Can't build the momentum up to swing out.
Yeah, because your webs would go outside the building, so your webs don't shoot.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure it breaks the game logic being inside the geometry. But yeah, there was some really cool stuff. Really, really, really cool stuff in Spider-Man 2. I think I'm probably past the halfway point. Maybe I'm in the last quarter of the game, and I feel like and I've heard this from other people that the pacing of 2 feels a little odd to people in comparison to the other 2 games that are like very smoothly paced. And I do kind of agree with that. I feel like it opens really big and strong and box officey and blockbustery and stuff, and then it kind of gets a little slice of
Stale?
life. No, not stale, but like slice of
Okay.
life, like more normal stuff. Like, Miles is trying to do a thing to get into college, and Peter's trying to make rent and that sort of stuff. And I really like those types of things personally, especially from a superhero perspective. I can understand why people were harping on them, being like, "Oh, well, it's not the big action fucking blockbuster thing." I don't fucking want to do this. It's dumb. You know,
Heroes aren't heroes 24/7.
And I swear to God, if I had a nickel for every fucking sequel to a Sony Studios produced game in which you play as a younger fucking version of the fucking main character, I would have like $50. Like, fucking Christ. Like, it makes total sense in the context of, oh, cool. There's some sequences where you play as like high school Peter. Since that is not a focus of these games, since you're playing as like an adult Peter in his 30s. So like in context, it makes sense. And it serves the story well, but it's like Uncharted games, Ghost of Tsushima, Infamous, every fucking third-person action adventure game, God of War, like all of them do this. And I'm just like, I feel like it's at this point a mandate from Sony.
Right.
that
We don't
you
know how to
have
continue
do
the story,
this.
so let's make a prequel.
Or at least for like an hour or two in the game, And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm over it. And it's only in the Sony games, so I'm just like, Jesus Christ. Is it a mandate? Is it like, hey,
Yeah.
we need to appeal to demographics?
I can't
so
wait
let's
till
make
you
sure
get
we
your
to a small section.
your young Master Chief game where you can finally go, oh, okay, finally.
So I heard you. I was angry about it for a second, but knowing the lore,
And then you thought,
being a young Master Chief without the Mjolnir armor, doing stealth missions and killing human rebels, because that's what fucking happened. Everybody forgot about the fucking horror that the Spartans were, because it's actually bad. Like, that'd be really cool. I'm just saying. Just saying. I would be down for that. What I would not be down for is a young John 117, going on a dating simulator and, fucking some kind of, shall we say, conscript from the Covenant that is human. That's not what I'd be okay with. But
speaking of Bungie.
Oh, we're gonna talk about it more? Okay, go for it.
No, we didn't talk about it at all because it came out after.
Well, we did.
Did we?
We talked about Michael Salvatore being fired and all that sort of stuff. But if you want to talk more about it, there's more to say. That's for sure.
Nope. I didn't think we talked about it considering the articles we posted were the 30th and we recorded on the 28th. So.
Go for it, Nate.
No, I'm good. Like if we talked about it.
Maybe we didn't. I don't know.
I know we've talked
Bungie's
about
on fire.
Bungie's on fire. Everything's fine.
8% of their staff. Yeah. They're down 45% of their profits. Concept artist.
No, they missed their projections by 45% on pre-sales or pre-orders.
Which would sink a normal company.
Yeah.
They fired one of their main concept artists.
Both of their composers, most of their community staff, a bunch of art talent, a bunch of QA talent.
Bungie's dead. I'm sorry. I think at this point, like,
that's kind of what it sounds like. And what's funny is like I came up in a lot of communities, a lot of like where I'm at now, with podcasts and whatnot, and listening to podcasts was because of the Destiny community. And as I said to the guy that runs my my clan, I'm like, I've been struggling to find excuses to play Destiny in general lately. Now I just have now I have even less motivation. Like at this point, I'm fine living vicariously through everyone else that's playing it. Like I can follow the stories, I can follow the lore on YouTube at this point, or Twitch if I watch someone play it live. I don't need to continue to be a part of it because, again, the game just grew away from me. Like this whole year, they've made inroads. It's like, okay, we're not going to leave the more casual player behind by constantly increasing the light level and increasing the power level and making just the constant churn. They're like, we're gonna keep the cap, and I'm like, awesome, cool, I can finally catch up. And then they went and said, but we're taking away all the pinnacles and we're locking all the pinnacles behind end game content. It's like, that's the fucking problem.
And they're nerfing my Striga.
Right? Which it needed.
Why?
Rightfully so. It did need it. It was kind of an easy button. It was kind of an easy button in PvE too. It was an ad clearing machine.
For the raids, no. Is it make them easier? Yes. Is that what I wanted from the fucking raids? Yes.
Right.
Oh man.
But yeah, like,
I mean,
just when I thought it was getting to a point where it's like, okay, I'm not going to be locked out of communities for, must have Gallarhorn. Like it turns out like, oh, we're not raising the power cap, but we're going to still make it. We're going to make it even harder for you to get to that power cap. And it's like, what the fuck's the point?
Well, and I think what's worse is, there was pictures from disgruntled ex-Bungie employees that were of like a boardroom meeting where they were doing an internal projection on how the Final Shape campaign was playtesting internally, and they had it rated between Taken King, Witch Queen, Beyond Light, Forsaken. And they were saying that it was hitting Beyond Light levels of excitement and engagement within internal playtesting. And I'm like, so one of the weakest expansions for the conclusion of the entire ass fucking story and shit that they have spun so far.
Which is only going to be one season by their new standards, right? Again, I don't see why I would invest an entire year's worth of effort into what's supposed to be the conclusion of the franchise and then this new episode model.
I mean, here's where I'm at. I have already made up my mind that before it actually releases, which, by the way, Final Shape has been delayed to summer.
Not officially.
Yes, officially.
Not by Bungie.
You might want to check yourself on that. I have made up my mind that I will purchase the Final Shape the week before it comes out, and I will play the Final Shape because I do want to see and experience the end of the story. But for all intensive purposes, otherwise, Bungie has already not been my Bungie for a long time. And at this point, I'm done. I'm done. I realize it's odd to make a commitment to play a game in the future of theirs or an expansion of a game. But
again, it's this 10-year cycle. Like you're at 9.5 of those.
And like the things that I've been hearing about anything, even my own game group that started because of Destiny. It's like, well, everything's, not everything lasts forever,
Right.
and there were rumors that,
At least not at this price point,
yeah, it's
right? Like,
expensive.
yeah, sure, WoW's lasted, but it's a subscription
Yeah,
model.
exactly. Well, it's a subscription model with paid expansions.
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Is it sad? Sure. Is
Hmm.
I don't know. It's like over. Like, I said it last year. Their marathon thing looks really interesting, but it's also not at all a fucking marathon I actually know.
Right. Right.
You know?
That's one of the few games that Mac gamers had back in
Yep.
the day.
But like, I don't know. The fucking studio is so fucking dead.
Yeah. And again, like Marathon looks interesting, but it's not extraction shooters aren't my
Did you hear
thing.
the thing about that?
Yeah, that's getting delayed as well, and
It's
tested
delayed.
horribly.
Apparently, they had a bunch of Escape from Tarkov players flown in, and they said,
Yeah.
who would play and buy this game?" And nobody raised their hand. And it's like,
Yeah.
yikes.
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know.
And we don't quite know why.
No,
If it
we've
was
never seen gameplay.
visual thing,
We've
if it
never
was
seen gameplay.
right.
And that's the
They
other
could
thing.
they could have been playing a very early alpha.
I'm sure
for
they're
all we
playing an
know.
early alpha. What else could it be?
So,
But at the same time, like, when I hear the words extraction shooter, I don't entirely know what genre that is, because the only thing that comes up in my mind is the PvPvE component to the Division, where you go into a zone,
sure.
there's AI enemies, you fuck with them, you take some loot, and then you go to like a helicopter, and the helicopter takes 5 minutes, but everybody in the zone knows there, so then the other PvP people come and try to fucking murk you to then take the thing and
Right.
take it for themselves. That's what I think of when I think of an extraction shooter.
Basically. Yeah.
I don't know what that is in the context of new weird bio-robotic marathon. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. It's very odd. And then the message that they've sent to the rest of their dev team by firing Michael Salvatore, who is one of the founding members of the fucking company, vested stock options, everybody's expendable. Like, that's the
Right.
message sent to the whole fucking dev team. And it's like, that's fucked.
Yep. And while it's very rare to actually have an on-staff composer, like most of that
That's
stuff
true.
is typically
It is
farmed
an old
out.
school, it is an old gaming studio mentality that has their built-in composers, for sure.
Right.
Because it's not normal anymore.
Which they already let one go, but that was more Marty than anything else.
Maybe, maybe not.
So,
Oh, man. But yeah, I don't know. Fucking Destiny is about to die, and Bungie is about to die, for that matter.
yeah.
Because the other thing too is they've been focusing on Destiny this entire fucking time. Okay, if the rumors are true, they started Marathon in 2019, Feltman, and they started it originally as a project to help developers that were burnt out from making Destiny. And I'm just like, so you guys were part of Microsoft. You guys were done doing Halo. You guys were allowed to buy yourselves back. And you guys created another golden goose and then also backed yourselves into the same fucking corner you did with Halo by burning yourself off on a popular game while not actually producing other products to come out to flow their team members to. Like, I get that they started Marathon in 2019, but it's not coming out to 2020 fucking 5 or whatever.
Right. And there's still the matter of matter,
which
whatever
is
that
allegedly
is.
canceled, and that was supposedly a hero shooter. Which is also
Right.
just like, okay, who the fuck wants to play a hero shooter? Exactly.
Right.
So I don't know. It's a fucked up mess.
Yeah. And what it comes down to now, in the grand scheme of things, the reason I play Bungie games is for that shooting feel.
I mean, that's a component of it for me, but it's not the whole thing. The
Right.
whole thing for me has always been art, music,
Right. But
interesting
I'll
encounters.
forgive them not going to UE5.
Sure.
Right. Because their games just feel
Sure.
different.
That's absolutely true.
Right.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. Speaking of feeling different and good, I randomly, on a whim, started a new game.
Oh.
It's an old game now at this point. It was a ever so slightly post-launch title for the PS5. I have spent about 5 hours in Returnal. It started as a whim last night. I played a little bit of Siege with the boys, and then one of my guys had to get off and feed his kid, newborn. And then he took like 30 minutes, and I didn't want to fire up Siege again, and I had Returnal sitting there. And I was like, you know
What the
what?
heck?
Let me just see what this is all about. Because I've seen the reviews. I know who the
Right.
developer is, House Marquee, which I'm a big fan of all their games. But they've made predominantly top-down or side-scrolling twin-stick shooters. Like really, really good, super addictive arcade games. And this was their big budget. Sony gave them a huge budget. They moved to Unreal Engine, full story, 3D thing. And I'd heard a bunch of stuff when it launched, and it crashed PS5s, and they had a bit of a bug with the Unreal Engine, and they didn't have the kinks worked out. But this was, like I said, it's a 2020 title, so all the kinks have been worked. Fired it up, was immediately intrigued by the intro, even though I knew the gist of the game. The initial knee-jerk reaction was, this is giving me third-person Metroid Prime meets that one sci-fi Tom Cruise movie, Live, Die, Repeat, Edge of Tomorrow, whatever it's called. The one that they
Yes.
changed the title of for some reason multiple times. Yeah. And so I played it for like 15 minutes, and then I had to go back to what I was doing. And then this morning, which is supposed to have been my nice chillax Saturday, played my Spider-Man game. Gotta say, woke up this morning and was feeling an itch to not play Spider-Man, which was surprising since I don't get a lot of time to play that. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna play Returnal. So that's what I fucking did until the wife woke up. Dove into Returnal, and it is such a me game. It's disgusting. Like, it checks so many boxes for me. It's like sci-fi, check. Interesting story and world, check. Cool sci-fi guns, check. Metroidvania type game, check.
check. Yeah.
Awesome fucking sci-fi ambient synth music, check. Controls beautifully, check. Like,
They should name the game Tin Mint.
sure, basically. But yeah, for those who don't know, since it's an older game, the gist is you're some chick astronaut and you're crashing into some planet, and then you like die, but then you like wake up again and relive the crash and then don't die. And then every time you do die in the game, you're on like a Groundhog Day / live die repeat loop.
Right.
And it's a roguelike / I guess Soulsborne in that sense of you get to keep some stuff, but when you die, you lose a lot of shit.
Right. You keep the knowledge, but you lose the inventory-ish.
Yeah, and then in addition to it being like Metroid Prime, and in a lot of ways, like it is a map that's like straight up like Metroid Prime, like 3D navigation thing. I was like, oh shit. Like even the zoom noise, I know it's a small thing, but zooming in on the map makes the same goddamn noise as Metroid Prime, and I'm like, all right, guys, I know what you guys are putting down here. And then it gets a little bit fresh on the, dying and repeating everything again thing, because the stage or the world, or I don't know, it's a little bit procedurally generated as well. So like when you go through the first door in your crash site, which is always the same, you might not be in the same area from the last run you did. And it's like, okay, that's interesting. And so you get kind of like a general sense of how it's laid out. A good in-depth but hard to describe way would be like, it feels like a 3D version, at least that aspect of it, of another game that I've long been addicted to, of Dead Cells, because they have procedurally generated levels that are different every time, but they're like in their own biome, but they're connected to one another. And this does that.
Gotcha.
But in 3D. But not to like a No Man's Sky level of procedural generation, but like
sure.
This room's over here, and now you're in another room that wouldn't have been here this time, but you recognize the layout of this room, kind of thing.
The set dressings are the same, but the locations are different.
Yeah, and then it's got all the little trappings of stuff. You've got like people to shoot, and then they drop currencies that you need to use on the run, because then if you die, you lose them. There's an artifact thing you can get that then carries over to your next death, but then sometimes they disappear. I don't know what that's about yet. Then there's also like these actual like parasite face hugger things that you can find from like an alien egg, and then they give you pros and con like buffs and debuffs simultaneously. So it'll be something like plus 15%.
You can run twice as fast but jump half as high.
Yeah, like I found one that was like plus 15% health. Fall damage is enabled, because there's not fall damage in the game, and I'm like,
right.
Okay. I had a nasty one where it was like, I forget what buff it gave me, mostly because I only remember the bad part of the debuff, which was picking up items hurts you. But if I pick up the health pickup, it hurts. That's not fair. Yeah, it's interesting. And then on top of that, there's like these first person story moments that are kind of like the canceled Silent Hills game that we only got to play as a demo called PT. There's like a house and shit's moving around in the house. Because there's also sometimes like there's some like sci-fi like what the fuck like moments. I don't think it's too much of a spoiler, but like I was running along and I went into a room, and then there's just like a regular ass human house there. And you're like, what? What the fuck is this doing here? And you go into it and you go first person and it's like PT, and you're like, what the fuck? And there's like, I don't know, running around, and the sound is kind of spooky, and you're like, what the fuck is going on in this game? So it has a lot of interesting elements going on for it. And then the only things that I can complain about, having only played it for like a chunk of a Saturday, is man, it can be real fucking brutal when you die and come back, and because you drop your weapons. Your weapons are not permanent, so you start with,
Right. And they won't be, you can't run back
that
and
is
get
correct,
them.
because the stage has changed.
Yeah.
They ain't there no more.
Right.
Yeah, it can be kind of brutal, because like sometimes you're doing well and you got like a bunch of good weapons, you got a bunch of good perks, and everything's good, and then some monster comes out, and at least at this point it's like new, so you're like, oh, what the fuck do I do with you? And then it like grabs you and throws you across the stage. You're like, oh, fuck, and then you die. You're like, shit. And then you start back, and then you just have a fucking pistol, and that's fucking it. And then you go into a room, and then there's like 10 dudes, and I'm like, this pistol is insufficient for this fight. And then you die again, and you're like, fuck. Like, I barely made it out the door in that one, you know. And so it is, that's why I bring up the, apart from the fact that it's also sci-fi, and also like some of the did you see that movie, Live Die Repeat? Do you remember the
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
monsters in that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's
The
a
mimics.
base
Yeah.
monster that looks a fuckload like that. Like, I almost think they probably took inspiration from that movie. And it's like a base unit. It's like a little dog thing.
Yeah. That is one of those low key, if I see it on, I won't skip it.
Yeah, it's good.
Like, I don't think I've ever sought it out, but I've never turned it off.
Fair
It was
enough.
ever
But
on.
no, I bring up that movie because, and you getting your ass kicked on these cycles where it's like you'll jump into the room, it's like 10 of them, and now at this point, because I've died like fucking 40 times now or something fucking crazy like that, like I'll jump into that room with a pistol, and the first run I'll be like, you know what, kill me, have at me. I'll
Right.
get you on the next run.
Can I turn it on myself?
You know?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It also has some aspects from their twin stick games, which are basically twin stick bullet hell games. Some of the enemies will shoot like a fuckload bullet hell of like slow moving projectiles, and you gotta like move through them and stuff. Which is interesting that they like kind of retain a little bit of that arcadiness. Yeah, it's just good, and it's very satisfying to play and shoot stuff, and the movement's very fast right off the rip. So even though you do die, like running through feels like you're running like very fast anyways. It's cool. It's cool. I totally dig the game. And I looked up who the composer was, and I had to hurt myself a little bit because the music's really fucking good in this game. It's done by a guy named Bobby Krillick. And I know that name because he took over from I hate to say this because the video game music is fucking phenomenal. Like, he crushed it. But he took over from Bear McCreary after season 1 of Snowpiercer, and he did not do a good job. And
Okay.
we're watching Invasion season 2 on Apple TV Plus, and he took over from Max Richter from season 1, and he's doing season 2, and he has not done a good job. So I'm confused by the man, because clearly Returnal's music is fucking amazing, but him picking up the slack after them going a different direction or wanting a cheaper composer or something, like, he's not good at that part of the job. And I think he might even be the composer on the WB Blue Beetle movie that came out this summer that I missed, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know. Maybe he does better on projects that are his and not pickups, What are you looking at that's so high above your face?
Oh, I'm looking at screenshots and whatnot of Remnant.
Returnal.
Oh,
Not Remnant.
Returnal. Sorry. That would be why it doesn't look the same.
I was going to say, isn't Remnant that Leonardo DiCaprio movie with the bear? Returnal.
Ah, there we
It's
go.
It's sci-fi as fuck.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, it's on
Oh,
Steam.
did the PC version already come out? I mean, it's an older one, so sure.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I was looking for. I was like, is this available on
does
Steam?
everything I'm talking about appeal to you? Oh,
yes.
Okay, cool.
And I'm kind of looking for a new game these
And
days.
it's one you
That's,
can get in and out.
fleshed out,
I
and
might add.
Yeah.
Although sometimes when you're out, it hurts. And also what I like too about it is like when you do die, you get like these little like flashes of story or something. And sometimes they're cool and sometimes they're disturbing. And other times the chick you play, her name's Celine, she'll be like, not this shit again. So yeah, I'm digging it. Digging it a lot. My understanding, because I was playing it and then I made some breakfast and I watched IGN's old review of it. Yeah, my understanding is there's 5 world biomes in the game, and that it takes about 18 hours to quote unquote beat, even though it's an infinite kind of thing. And then since it came out, it has added co-op and then some kind of like end game tower thing to climb and do or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I dig it. Oh, this is the other thing it reminds me of. And this is going to be a really odd comparison because apart from the fact that they're third-person shooters and Metroidvania type games, they couldn't be further apart. But it feels like Control. And Control is a very fucking good third-person shooter. So in terms of how it feels, that's what it feels like. Because rather than like I don't know how else to put it, like a Gears of War or a Resident Evil 4, like tight behind the shoulders, third person, this is a very loose, way above them. Like your character's at the bottom of the screen, your reticle's in the middle, because you need to be able to see around your environment because shit is coming at you. And then the only other thing I can think of about Returnal is I did just get a melee weapon. And it just feels like an unfinished thing in the game. Like everything else, you're like running around, flying through. You have a dodge that makes you temporarily invincible from through projectiles that feels somewhat like Doom Eternal. And then you have a melee, and you hit, at least on the PlayStation controller, you hit square, and it's like all movement stop, not flashy, not well animated even, and then you like swing like a sword. And it's almost like, okay, we have to finish the animation before we can let you go back to the game kind of thing. So I'm hoping that gets better because it's garbage when you press the button. But yeah, that's Returnal. Like I said, I'm still playing Spider-Man 2. I just had a little bit of wasn't feeling it today. So yeah, that's what I've been playing. And looks like you're watching a video because I can see the glint in your glasses.
Nope, just going through screenshots. I see the bullet hell moments here.
Those are cool.
Okay.
Those are cool.
Yeah. It speaks to me. I think I might. Think I might pick it up.
Get ready to die.
Ew. Wow.
Oh, I forgot to mention that as far as a gameplay thing's concerned, and also like a sci-fi thing, she has like a U channel rail behind her helmet, and there's this little like slidey thing, and when you're firing, there's like some kind of small homing damage projectile. So if you're like not hitting with your shots, you're at least always still doing a little bit of damage, which is
Gotcha. It's got a little bit of aim assist kind of.
I mean, it has
bullet
for
bend.
that, but you don't directly control that. It's like you have like a little
Right.
itty bitty, sometimes automated tracking turret with a slow moving projectile. I bring it
Gotcha.
up because there's like a shotgun slug thing, and I don't mean like a slug like a shotgun, like it's like a slug critter thing you pick up, and it's kind of like a shotgun, and it's kind of hard for long range. And I noticed while I was playing, I was clearly not hitting things with this shotgun slug, that this thingy was moving on the back of her neck and shooting, and they were going all the way to the target. And I was like, oh, interesting.
Gotcha.
I hope that can be upgraded somehow. Because auto tracking, auto tracking would be good. Because the enemies in this game are fast as fuck. So,
and if anything, it can be a little bit of a tattletale.
Sometimes, like, there's some flying enemies, and there's some bigger like rooms or areas, and like the projectile will like go up when you like lost sight of it, or lost sight of the enemy. But anyways, I think that's all there is for games, and then we just have life, and then wrap it up. And I don't really have much to fucking say about life, particularly. I got no good stories.
Yeah, I don't either, other than here we go. The night shift looks like it's officially happening. Finally, I actually got the parts in to the office. So the things that need to happen for that to happen are actually happening. And there was an outside chance it was supposed to be this Monday, and the parts had to come in on Friday. And the parts came in on Friday, but the boss said, I'm not, like, we're doing it after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's that. Yeah, I don't have any, like, major life stories. The only one that we have out of our community is former co-host Mike List, Buster Knuckle. We found out is getting married, so congratulations to him.
All right. I feel like we knew that as a Fork fam. But yeah, no, there was some data that was heard that he's getting married next fall. So
yeah.
So
let's hope that happens. Been a long time coming.
Wish that girl forever. Yeah, I got no life stories that have any juice in them for the show, so to speak. And all the other life stuff, I'm not really talking about still. So,
right.
Yeah. That's it. This is the show. Goodbye.
Get forked.
Thank you for listening to a Dynamic Works production podcast. You can find our podcast at www.dynamicworksproductions.com. Feel free to email us at dynamicworks@mac.com.
Dominic Armato, the voice of Guybrush Threepwood, and you're listening to a Dynamicworks production podcast.
The Citadel, Arrival, is the first installment in a series of epic science fiction short stories reminiscent of the Pulp Fiction style. It's a fast-paced story that will take you through twists and turns that you will not expect, until they are thrust upon you with all the force, excitement, and chaos of a plasma cannon blast. The story follows Katarl, a nobody cog in the working wheels of a futuristic society run completely by Megacorp, a corporation that carefully runs and manages the lives of the people living under its sphere of power. On one of Katarl's few and far between days off from work, an outing he had hoped would be fun and relaxing turns into an explosive adventure that drags him kicking and screaming into situations and challenges that will make him question every aspect of his life. Watch this colorful tapestry unfurl as Katarl and his newfound allies find their way through this classic, yet oddly surprising tale of good and evil, where nothing is quite what it appears to be. That's The Citadel, Arrival by author Tim K.A. Trotter, available right now on Amazon Kindle Store and iTunes iBookstore for only $2.99.
Okay. We are rolling.
We are also rolling.
Yes, I saw the little light in the corner of the screen there.
Fair enough.
Oh, there's
Well,
the
those are
dogs. Now that you have, Old Faithful going. It's a damn shame.
So they updated their fucking piece of shit G-Hub. It's still Intel. And so it was all on that, by the way.
I'm sure.
So the solution that's worked for months now. Now it says Mac OS is saying Mac OS has prevented an unauthorized driver. And I'm like,
for fuck's sake. Yeah.
I uninstalled it, reinstalled it, tried it. I even brought my wife's laptop out, which is Intel, I might add, to see, okay, because it was saying the driver wasn't initializing, and I'm like,
right,
okay. And it didn't do it on that. So it's the fucking G-Hub piece of shit, garbage, trash, fucking shit.
Right. Which drives me nuts that you, like, I have the G-Hub thing installed, and yeah, it does make things a little easier, but I can uninstall it, and my camera works.
See,
like, everything works.
I don't understand why you have to have it to initialize it from a basic mic to a studio mic.
Right.
Because everything I've read, it does the same thing on Windows.
Yeah, I could use that mic without installing G-Hub, and it's a working mic. I may lose some of the software features, but all the hardware features on the mic will work.
That's what fucking pisses me off, because like this mic, as old as it is, it's had firmware.
Yeah.
You know, and granted, it probably hasn't had a firmware update in about 5 years, or probably more.
Sure.
But I don't have to do shit with it. And I'm mad because I do sound better on the other mic.
Yeah. Yeah, when you don't move this far away from the mic.
Yeah, which I need to fix. I was trying to be better about that.
You were.
Okay, good. All right, let's do a regular show, I guess.
Okay.
I'm glad I didn't need as much alcohol.
You're going to have to leave this out of the outtakes, though.
This is going to be in the outtakes.
Yeah. Note to self,
I mean,
edit this out of the outtakes, because, yeah.
For fear of brain cells dying. But, anyways. Let's just do it.
All right, and 3. 2.
And 3. And 3. 2. 1. I need you to say the things with me. You can't just do the silent thing, Nate. It doesn't
I was giving you the fingers.
It doesn't fucking work.
Okay,
for editing
and
audio.
3.
God. 2.
1.
1. Okay, again.
And 4.
And 3.
This can stay in the outtakes. And 3.
3.
2. 1. Cut in.
Oh fuck! I forgot to say the thing.
Fuck me, Tim.
Okay. This is the last one. In
3, 2, 1. Cut in.